It started with a Reddit post. I was scrolling through r/conspiracy one night, half drunk, bored out of my mind, and that's when I saw it. The title was Alien DNA Sample, Real, Inbox Me, No Scammers, No Upvotes, No Comments, Nothing. The guy had just posted it like 2 minutes ago. I clicked on the profile. Brand new account, but the dude had posted once in r/no sleep a few months ago. Some batshit story about a guy growing tentacles. It sounded like a joke, but something about this post felt different. It had coordinates, a link to a .onion site, and a weird line, donate your DNA, get a piece of the universe. I don't know why I clicked it. Curiosity, maybe. Maybe it was just a messed up week and I needed a distraction. I just broke up with my girlfriend 2 days before. She said I was emotionally blocked and addicted to Reddit and r/cryptids. Maybe she wasn't wrong. The .onion site was bare bones, black background, green font like it was ripped from a 2002 hacker movie. It had a form to fill out, asking for your name, email, address for delivery, and a field to describe your willing DNA contribution. They had options: blood, hair, skin flakes, semen. I picked hair. I didn't think they'd really follow up. They did. 2 days later, a plain envelope showed up in my mailbox. No return address, just my name written in thick Sharpie. Inside was a small plastic bag, instructions, and a pre-stamped return envelope. The instructions were printed in all caps, said something like, cut 20 strands of hair from the root. Do not wash hair 24 hours prior. Place in bag, seal, and mail. I laughed at first, but again, I don't know, man. I did it. I sealed it and dropped it off at the blue USPS box outside the Kroger on 8th Street. I never expected anything to come from it. But 3 weeks later, things got weird. I was in bed, half asleep, when I got a DM on Reddit. It just said, "It's growing." I sat up instantly, checked the profile, gone, deleted, no trace. The message was still there, but the account was deactivated. I didn't think much of it again until a few nights later, when I saw someone standing on the other side of the gas station parking lot watching me. I go to the Shell on Lincoln Avenue every night after work for smokes. I was outside lighting a cigarette when I saw him. Same height as me, same hair, same fucking clothes. He didn't move. Just stood near the red box kiosk watching. I said, "What the fuck?" out loud, took a step forward, and he bolted, like, full on, sprinted toward the back alley near the dumpster. I ran after him, but when I turned the corner, he was gone. Like he vanished into thin air. That's when I noticed the smell. It was metallic, like blood, but sourer. I looked down. There was a pile of hair, black strands, curly and greasy as hell. And there were footprints, bare feet, muddy, big, human prints leading off into the alley shadows. I started having nightmares after that. Nightmares where I was watching myself from the outside, doing shit I never did, hurting people. I saw myself stabbing a girl in a subway bathroom. I recognized her face later in a missing persons post on Twitter. I'm not joking. Her name was Danielle Monroe, 22nd, last seen outside the Franklin Street subway, the same place I saw in my dream. I started losing track of time. I'd go to bed at 2 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m., and have cuts on my hands. My boots would have dried mud on them. I don't hike. I live in a tiny-ass apartment over a Thai restaurant. I don't even leave the city. Then I got the package. This time it came in a black box, no label, just returned to sender, scribbled on top in red marker. Inside was a flash drive. That's it. I plugged it in. There were 4 video files, no names, no titles, just timestamps. I clicked the first. It was me, or what looked like me, standing in a warehouse, shirtless, covered in blood, smiling into the camera. Then I spoke. "I'm ready for round 3. She didn't scream this time. Kinda boring. I couldn't breathe. I started dry heaving into the sink. I clicked the next file. It was surveillance footage. Me, again, sitting in a diner, 3 a.m. drinking coffee. The timestamp said it was from last week. I was in bed last week. I swear to God. I watched myself follow a waitress outside. She looked barely 19. I followed her to the lot, and then the video cut to static. I was shaking so hard I dropped the flash drive. I reported it to the cops. They came to my place, took my statement. I told them everything except the alien hair donation part. I didn't want to get Baker acted or something. They said they'd look into it. 3 days later, a detective came back. Officer Reyes, young guy, ex-military vibe, stone face. He handed me a printed report. Danielle Monroe, found dead, stabbed 43 times, fingerprints smeared, no leads. They said it was probably a gang initiation thing. That was the official story. But then Reyes looked me dead in the eye and said, "This between us, but we got footage from a parking structure near the crime scene. It's grainy, but the guy looks a hell of a lot like you." I laughed. Not because it was funny, just pure panic. I told him it wasn't me. He didn't press, just nodded and walked off. I started digging, deep diving forums. I posted on r/high strangeness, asking if anyone else had sent their DNA to extraterrestrial research collectors. One dude replied in a throwaway account, "They're not studying us, they're replacing us." Then his comment got deleted. I've been seeing him again, the other me, first in my dreams, then in real life. Last night I saw him standing at the bus stop on 7th and Wallace. I pulled over in my car, walked up to him. He looked me dead in the eyes and whispered, "I like what you've done with your life. Shame you won't need it much longer." Then he smiled. My smile, crooked and smug, and vanished behind the Taco Bell. The weirdest part, when I got home, my door was unlocked, my laptop was open, my Reddit was still logged in. A new post had been made under my name. It was a selfie, me, smiling, with the caption, "It's almost done." And someone had already commented, "You've served your purpose." That's not even the worst part. This morning, I got a call from the police. Officer Reyes is dead, found in his car, engine still running, throat slit ear to ear. The report said apparent suicide. Bullshit. I saw him 2 hours before the call. He was walking behind me on 9th Avenue, and he was whistling, just like I do when I'm nervous. I didn't go to work the next day, didn't even call in. I just sat on my couch holding my phone, reading the article about Officer Reyes over and over again. Apparent suicide. That's the third one this month. First, the girl from the diner, then a janitor from the warehouse district, found dismembered in a public storage unit near the river. And now Reyes, all of them somehow connected to me. But here's the thing, I didn't kill anybody, at least not that I remember. I looked up the coroner's name who signed off on Reyes's death report, Dr. Ellison Boone. Found her on Facebook. Old lady, straight-laced, definitely didn't look like the type to lie for anyone. I messaged her, told her I was Reyes's cousin, and asked if she had any doubts about the cause of death. She replied, one line. His blood type was B+. The blood in his car was O negative. I couldn't move. That same night, my phone rang around 2:40 a.m. No caller ID. I let it go to voicemail, but they didn't leave one. Then it rang again, same no ID. I picked up this time, heart beating out of my chest. Didn't say anything. But I could hear breathing, slow, steady, like someone was trying to stay calm. Then a whisper. "You forgot to lock your door." Click. I jumped up so fast I knocked over the lamp. I ran to the front door. It was locked, but the back patio wasn't. I don't even use the patio. I live on the second floor. There's no ladder, nothing but a broken railing and a 15-foot drop. That night, I slept with a knife under my pillow. Next morning, my neighbor banged on my door. Some 60-year-old guy named Jeff, who lives alone with his pit bull, Pepper. He looked pale. He said, "Hey man, you hear anything weird last night?" I told him no. He said, I think someone was on my balcony. I saw footprints. Pepper wouldn't stop growling at the glass door. Then she just pissed herself and hid in the bathroom. She never does that. We both knew something was off. I finally called my brother, Sam. He's the only person in my family I still talk to. Told him I needed a favor, a place to crash. Didn't explain much, just said I was going through something. He said, yeah, no problem. He lives 40 minutes out in the sticks, just past the old Fair Hill Asylum ruins. Quiet, no neighbors. A proper I own guns and drink Budweiser from a cooler kind of place. I packed in less than 10 minutes. Before I left, I checked my laptop. I don't remember logging in to Reddit that morning, but somehow my post history was different. There was a comment I didn't write. On a thread about black market DNA cloning. It's not about the DNA, it's about who the DNA belongs to. Some souls just hit different. I didn't even try to delete it. I just shut the whole thing and bounced. On the drive there, I noticed a black Dodge Charger tailing me. Tinted windows, no plates. I switched lanes. So did they. I took the next exit without signaling. They followed. I pulled into a CVS, parked sideways near the pharmacy drive-through. The Charger drove right past, but 10 minutes later, I spotted the same car parked at the gas station across the street. Just sitting there. Engine running. I took the back roads to Sam's. He greeted me with a six-pack and a loaded shotgun. I told him I just needed a place to breathe for a bit. He didn't press. We played Call of Duty and crushed some cores. For a few hours, things felt kind of normal, but that night, I couldn't sleep again. I heard noises outside. Not like an animal. He lives in a wooded area. I'm used to coyotes and shit. This sounded like pacing. I peeked through the blinds and saw myself, standing in the driveway, wearing the exact clothes I left the city in. Just standing there, staring at the house, not moving. I whispered to Sam. He grabbed the shotgun and looked through the window. By the time he turned back to me, he looked shaken, like he'd seen a ghost. He said, that guy, he looked just like you. I nodded. He said, no, like exactly. Same birthmark under the ear, same lazy eye. That's not just similar, bro, that's you. Then, as if it couldn't get worse, the power cut out. Whole house, pitch black, no storm, no wind, just dead silence. Sam handed me a flashlight and said, stay here. He went out with the shotgun. I watched from the living room window. He disappeared into the trees. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I started freaking out. Called his phone, straight to voicemail. 30 minutes, no sign of him. Then I heard a voice from the hallway behind me. Hey bro, we got a problem. I turned around, and there was Sam, standing in the hallway, but different. Face paler, eyes darker. He was smiling, but his lips weren't moving right, like someone wearing a mask of Sam. I backed up, tripped over the coffee table, and ran out the back door barefoot into the trees. I called the real Sam's number again. This time, it rang. He answered, panting, whispering, I'm in the barn, lock the doors, don't trust anything that talks like me. I looked behind me. Fake Sam was standing at the edge of the trees, smiling. Still, not chasing, just watching. That night we slept in shifts in the barn. Didn't even light a fire. We were too scared of what might see it. In the morning, we found hoofprints in the mud near the front porch. But only one set. Bare feet, size 11, my size. Later that day, I got a text from a random number. It had a photo. Me, standing over what looked like a dissected corpse, surgical table and all, my face covered in blood, my eyes glowing faintly yellow. Underneath was a caption, the clone was never the copy. I deleted it, tried to report it, but the number didn't exist, no carrier, no trace. Then I got a Venmo request for 1 cent from the username at You Are Not You, the message. It's your turn in the lab. I don't know how much longer I have before it finds me again, but I'm starting to think it's not a clone, it's the real me, and I'm the copy. I left Sam's place at 3 a.m. with nothing but my wallet, my hoodie, and the burner phone I bought from a speedway off Route 9. I didn't say goodbye, didn't explain anything. I just saw the look in his eyes. He was scared of me. Not scared for me anymore. And I don't blame him. The night before, he caught me sleepwalking. Said I was standing over him in the middle of the night with my mouth hanging open, whispering numbers like I was dialing some invisible phone. 19-4-13, 72-72, 17-1, over and over. When he shook me awake, I didn't even remember getting out of bed. Worse, his dog, Dozer, wouldn't come near me. That mutt used to jump on me every time I visited. Now it just whined and pissed itself every time I walked past the kitchen. That was the last straw. I had to leave before I ended up doing something I couldn't explain. I drove south. No GPS, just gas station directions and instinct. I figured the less digital trace I left, the better. I stopped only for gas and protein bars, slept in the car outside of an abandoned strip mall with a burned-out Dunkin' Donuts sign hanging by one screw. By the third day, I was starting to break down, not emotionally, physically. My skin was peeling in patches, big, wet flakes sliding off my arms like dead tree bark. My teeth hurt, not like a cavity or a root canal. This was deep, like they were shifting in my gums. I'd wake up with blood in my mouth and little white pieces on my tongue. At first, I thought it was bone. It wasn't. It was enamel, my enamel. I spit one out onto my palm and saw something beneath it. Something black, like my teeth were being replaced from the inside out. I stopped looking after that. I ended up crashing at a disgusting motel off Interstate 44 in Missouri. Happy stay in. Mold on the walls, front desk behind bulletproof glass, hookers yelling in the parking lot, and some asshole trying to sell me fake weed outside room 16. I didn't care. It was $29 a night, and the clerk didn't ask for ID. That's where I met the girl from the forum. Her username was Star Command Survivor. I remembered her from one of the alien threads on r/Deep Truths months back. She claimed to be an ex-subject from an off-books lab in Utah that grew anomalies from citizen DNA contributions. I thought she was nuts back then. Now I know she was telling the truth. She messaged me through Proton Mail, said she'd seen my Reddit posts, said she recognized the signs, said she had been reabsorbed and regrown 3 times before finally escaping. I didn't know what the fuck that meant, but she told me to meet her at the diner across from the motel. Moonlight Grill. Classy. She was already there when I walked in. Red hoodie. Nose ring. Looked tired as hell, like she hadn't slept in weeks. She had a bandage wrapped around her neck like someone tried to slit her throat and missed. Her name was Marcy. First thing she said to me was, "You've felt it, haven't you? The hum in your spine?" I nodded. I knew exactly what she meant. That buzzing, low static in the base of your skull, like a broken TV stuck between channels. Then she pulled out a small remote, cheap-looking, like something from a garage door opener, and clicked it. And for a split second, everything in the diner froze. The sound, the lights, even the air. I blinked, and it was back. She said, "They send signals to keep you dormant. That turns it off, temporarily." I asked her who they were. She just said, "Dul, the ones that own the database." You think you donated hair for fun? That wasn't a clone sample. That was a blueprint. They built your nervous system in simulation before they ever grew the meat version. I thought she was full of shit. Until she pulled up her sleeve. There was a long scar running from her wrist to her elbow. Underneath it, you could see something moving, not a vein, not a muscle, something artificial, black tubing, pulsing. She said, I had to cut myself open after I felt it whispering. They don't speak with words, they pulse. When they're close, your blood stutters. I wanted to throw up. Then she told me the worst part. She said the copy, the other me, wasn't just trying to replace me, it needed me, like a battery. She said, I can't survive long without the original nearby. It's like a Bluetooth signal, you're the source code. You ever notice when it gets close you feel sicker? I had. Every time I saw it, him, I felt like I was dying. My stomach would twist. My bones would ache, like it was pulling something from me. Then Marcy said this, if it merges with you, you don't just disappear. You live inside it, screaming forever, like brain death with your eyes open. Before I could even respond, the power in the diner flickered, real short, half a second, but every fluorescent bulb buzzed at once. Marcy's face went white. She said, it's here. We ran out the back, through the kitchen. I shit you not, we weren't alone. There was someone in the alley, but it wasn't me this time. It was her. Another Marcy. Wearing the exact same hoodie, but with no face. Just smooth, skin-like flesh where the features should be. Like someone forgot to finish molding her head. It lunged. I didn't even see the knife, just blood, spraying across the dumpster as Marcy screamed and shoved me down the side steps. We ran. I don't even remember grabbing her arm, but next thing I knew we were back at my car, and I was driving 90 down some side road with no lights and one headlight flickering. Marcy was bleeding, deep slash across her ribs. She kept mumbling, it's not alone. It brought others. They can grow them faster now. We made it to an abandoned Dollar Tree off a frontage road. I barricaded the back entrance with an old vending machine. She passed out in the break room. While she was unconscious, her phone buzzed once. A text from a number labeled, "Do not answer." The message just said, "We know where you're hiding." And then a second one, "You're the last one we need. After you, do we become real?" I'm starting to think this isn't just about me anymore. They've been building something, preparing something, and I think I'm the final key. We stayed in that abandoned Dollar Tree for 2 nights. No lights, no heat, no signal, just canned ravioli from a busted vending machine and water from the break room sink that tasted like rusted pennies. Marcy's wound was bad. I did my best with some gauze we found in the first aid kit behind the register, but I could tell it was infected. Her skin was hot to the touch, and she kept shivering even though she was wrapped in 3 layers of stolen fleece blankets from the store's back room. She kept whispering in her sleep, not words, clicks, like something out of a broken hard drive. Sometimes she'd laugh in short bursts, like a goddamn glitch. That second night I woke up to her standing over me, mouth wide open. No sound coming out. Just a quiet hiss of breath, like something was leaking from her throat. I didn't say anything, just stared. Then I realized she was still asleep. Her eyes were open, but her pupils weren't tracking. I waved a hand in front of her face. Nothing. And then, without warning, she started repeating what I said under my breath. I was whispering, "What the fuck?" and she started echoing it like a recorder with a few seconds delay. Same tone, same pitch, like she was downloading me. I smacked her awake. She snapped back, gasping for air like she'd been underwater. We left that place at sunrise. We took back roads, stayed off highways, avoided gas stations with cameras. I ditched my phone completely. Marcy said they could track the vibrations in the speaker coil, said they'd built receptors into public Wi-Fi routers that sniffed for synthetic neural signatures. I didn't even know what that meant, but I didn't argue. We ended up at a truck stop outside of Wichita. Middle of nowhere, middle of the night. The place had one working pump, a flickering soda machine, and a diner that looked like it hadn't passed inspection since 2003. We sat in the last booth, far corner, the kind of spot you sit in when you want to disappear. That's when the guy walked in. At first, I thought nothing of him. Blue flannel, trucker hat, maybe mid-40s. But there was something wrong with how he walked, like every step was just a little off, not limping, just lagging, like his body and gravity weren't syncing. He sat at the counter, didn't order anything, just stared at his reflection in the mirror behind the register. Then he smiled, not at himself, at me. That's when I noticed his mouth. His teeth weren't normal, too many, like rows stacked on top of each other like a shark. And his gums weren't pink, they were grey. I whispered to Marcy, "We need to go." She nodded. As we slid out of the booth, the man's head snapped toward us like a dog hearing a command. He stood and started walking toward us. I grabbed a steak knife off the next table, shoved it in my hoodie pocket, and bolted out the door. We ran behind the truck stop, through a gravel field littered with broken tires and rusted beer cans. That's when I heard it. A voice. My voice. From behind us, screaming, "Help! He's got a gun! He's kidnapping me!" It sounded exactly like me. I turned around, and there I was, running after Marcy, screaming, waving my arms like I was the victim. I swear on everything. I almost believed it. I almost thought I was the fake. That's how good it was. We ducked into a drainage pipe under the service road and waited. 10 minutes, 20, nothing. When we crawled out, we found a note pinned to the rear tire of our car, handwritten in red ink. Looked like it had been cut from someone's goddamn arm. It said, "Stop running, we're almost done growing. Merge willingly and you'll get to watch." Marcy burned it with her lighter on the spot. We didn't talk much after that, just drove. She said we needed to find the root server. Apparently the clones, if you can even call them that, were connected through a network. Not digital, not wireless, but biological. A hive made of living signal. She called it the spinal core. She said the original lab was destroyed years ago, but the core was still alive, hidden somewhere, protected. Think of it like the brainstem of the project. Shut it down, and everything else dies with it. I asked her where it was. She said, "Alabama. Underground. Old biotech lab funded by private defense contracts." She had a flash drive with coordinates and floor plans. Said she got it from someone who didn't make it out. That night, we got a room at some roach motel next to a closed-down Planet Fitness. Place had bedbugs and graffiti on the mirrors. Whatever. It was shelter. Marcy passed out almost instantly. I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing that voice again, my voice, from outside the window. But when I looked, the parking lot was empty. Except for one thing, a body, naked, pale, lying on the hood of our rental car like it was crucified. It had my face, but the eyes were missing, like they'd been scooped out with a spoon. Its chest was carved open, exposed ribs, black fluid leaking out like ink. Words carved into its torso, "Not this one, still weak." I puked all over the carpet. When I went back to wake up Marcy, she was gone. No signs of a struggle, just her hoodie, and a note scrawled in Sharpie on the bathroom mirror. "To finish this, one of us has to die." I checked my phone. New notification. An airdropped photo. It was me, standing in front of what looked like a massive industrial hatch door, half buried in red Alabama dirt. Underneath the photo, the caption, "Last checkpoint. Come alone. Bring your soul." I don't know how they knew I was coming, but it's too late to turn back now. I hit Alabama state lines just after 2 a.m., driving on fumes and paranoia. I hadn't eaten in over a day. My tongue felt like sandpaper. My hands were trembling so bad I could barely grip the wheel. I couldn't tell if it was exhaustion or withdrawal. From what, I don't even know anymore. The coordinates led me to a dead zone out past Anniston. One of those forgotten rural highways where GPS stops working and gas stations look like murder scenes from the 90s. Every few miles I'd pass a trailer with boarded windows or a burned-out pickup with vines growing through the hood. Then the road ended, literally. Just cut off into woods. Dirt and grass and nothing but buzzing insects and the smell of rot. I ditched the car near an old fence post with a Keep Out Gov Property sign half buried in kudzu. Walked a mile through the trees, following the blue dot on the offline map Marcy loaded onto the burner. Then I found it. The hatch from the photo. 10 feet across. Rusted. Bolted shut with some kind of biometric scanner next to it, but the screen was shattered. Someone had ripped it open already. Maybe Marcy, maybe someone before her. The thing creaked when I opened it. Smelled like wet concrete and something burned. The ladder went down for what felt like forever. At least 200 feet. When I finally hit the bottom, I was in some kind of tunnel. Metal walls, pipes along the ceiling, flickering emergency lights like the place had been on backup power for decades. I started walking. The walls had graffiti in some places, stuff like, "They are us. Stop yourself before they finish." And one that just said, "Not all copies need permission to take over." After maybe 20 minutes of walking, I found the door. Massive, industrial, like something you'd see in a nuclear bunker. And there was someone waiting, not a clone, Marcy. She looked like hell. Dark circles under her eyes, dried blood on her temple, holding a rusty crowbar with both hands like she hadn't put it down in days. She didn't even flinch when she saw me. "You came," she said, her voice hollow. "You said I had to," I replied. "Said one of us has to die." She nodded. "I hoped it wouldn't come to this. But they're too far along. We don't have time. The core activates tonight. Once it syncs with your original DNA signature, they'll go global." She pointed at the door behind her. "It's in there, grown out of your blood sample, fully conscious, part biological, part signal. It doesn't move like us. It thinks like hunger." I asked her how we kill it. She didn't answer. Instead, she handed me a pistol. A small, matte, black Glock. 1 bullet in the chamber, no extra mag. "I can't kill it," she said. "It's bound to you. It needs to be shut down by the original. You're the last living strand of the first sample. That makes you the kill switch." I took the gun, opened the door, and I swear to God what was inside wasn't just alive, it was aware. The chamber was massive, circular, with cables running like veins across the walls. In the center was a pod, glass and steel, half open, and slumped against the far wall was me, naked, hooked to wires, eyes rolled back, skin peeled off in layers like old paint, but still breathing, barely. And standing above it was the other me, fully dressed, smiling, clean. He turned around and said, "Took you long enough." His voice was perfect, the way I speak when I'm not overthinking. Confident, calm. "You're not real," I said. He shrugged. "I'm more complete than you. I'm not broken. I'm not scared. I don't waste time choking on doubt. I finish things." Then he took a step toward me. "You've been running your whole life. Let me handle it now. Let me take the wheel. No more suffering. No more dead ends. Just silence. Beautiful, cold, perfect silence." I aimed the gun at him, but my hand wouldn't stop shaking. He stepped closer, close enough that I could see his eyes weren't just mine, they were everyone's. Faces flashed in them. Reyes, Danielle, Sam, even Marcy. "You're not saving anyone," he whispered. "You're just stalling evolution." Then he lunged. I fired. The bullet hit him dead center in the chest. He didn't fall. He just looked down, annoyed, like I stepped on his shoe. Then I realized The bullet wasn't for him. He smiled again. Wrong one. I turned the gun to the ME slumped in the corner, the one on the wires. He looked up, barely. His lips moved. I stepped closer. He whispered, "Please, do it." My finger tightened on the trigger, and I pulled. The shot echoed through the chamber like thunder. For a second, nothing happened. Then the walls began to pulse like a heartbeat. The lights turned blood red. The pod in the center cracked open and began to leak a thick black fluid that smelled like meat left in a microwave for weeks. Then the other me started to scream, not a normal scream. It was mine, but layered. Every voice I've ever spoken in, every whisper, every yell, every thought I've ever had, screaming at once. His body tore itself apart, not exploded, not melted. It shredded like he was made of ribbons. Skin, muscle, and bone unraveling into the air like invisible fingers were pulling him apart, atom by atom. And then silence. The power went out. I passed out right there. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. They said I was found on the side of the highway, naked, unconscious, covered in blood that wasn't mine. No broken bones, no injuries, no ID, just a copy of the keys to my rental car in my hand and the words, "Emergency deactivation successful," carved into my forearm. No one believed a word of what I told them. They ran blood tests, then more tests, then sent the results to federal labs. A week later, 2 guys in suits showed up. No badges, no names, said they were from health compliance. They didn't ask questions. They just said, "You've been stabilized. Your record's been cleared. There is no crime scene. There never was." Then they handed me a folder. Inside was a photo of me, walking into that underground bunker. Only, it wasn't from outside. It was from inside, like someone was already there. Waiting, they left me with one sentence. "If you feel it humming again, you'll need to finish the job this time." I don't sleep much anymore. Sometimes I see reflections that don't match my movements. Sometimes I catch my own voice on voicemail recordings I never made. Sometimes I wake up with mud on my feet and no memory of where I went. But I haven't seen him again, not yet. And I think maybe that's worse.